Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, April 25th edition of the Established the Run NBA DFS Injury Analysis Show. Hope everybody out there had a great weekend, enjoyed the hoops. We're back with you here today. A couple, 3-game slate, couple closeout or potential closeout games on tap. Mike, how you doing today?
Doing okay. Got some trouble with my kitchen sink. My garbage disposal broke this weekend, so that's fun. I'll be taking care of that after this. And yeah, my Warriors let me down. I had
Yeah.
a sweep. I had some money on that. That would have plus 800 and wanted that to hit. I had the Warriors -4, so that I went pretty big on that and lost. So it was we had a good props day. A good
Yeah.
props. We've been running good, so I didn't lose too much money thanks to the props hitting. But
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to making. I'm not too big on stuff today, but tomorrow I'm probably gonna be making some moves.
Yeah, exactly. I took a little bit of a day off from NBA yesterday. Was out. We had a beautiful day in New York. Was out in Long Island City, out by the water, drinking in the sun. So had a nice rose smelling day with some friends and my wife. So
Awesome.
it was a lot of fun. You mentioned your kitchen sink. I think that is what the Nets are going to be throwing at the Celtics tonight. Um, but
Nice.
let's start actually where the most relevant injury news is on this slate, and that is with the Toronto Raptors back home in Philly for Game 5 tonight. But Fred VanVleet already ruled himself out with the hip injury that he's dealing with. So let's just talk through the Raptors. Do we expect Scotty Barnes to start after kind of making that jump from doubtful to in on Saturday? And any minutes restrictions there, and just kind of that overall Raptors outlook. What could we expect tonight?
Yes, we saw Scotty Barnes like tweak his ankle in the game. It looked like he was in the locker room, but he just like moved over to the bench. Trainer checked him out. He returned. It didn't look like himself. Obviously, was more passive on the scoring side, but he rebounded pretty well. I thought he moved around okay. Getting a day off, I think, is going to help him. So I think he's got a pretty good shot to get 30 today.
Yeah.
Just because they don't have the depth they have is just not there. They don't want to play Malachi. He's going to probably get the Harden assignment. We've seen, it be a little bit of Trent and Van Vliet, but now that they're going to be going bigger, putting in most likely Precious, talk about that more in a second. I would expect Scotty to probably draw that assignment, which is interesting for Harden, right? Because if Barnes is still limited, maybe he can kind of put it to him. But yeah, we'll kind of talk more about that on the DFS show.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should expect the key guys to be playing a lot. Like Siakam, he's going to be really, really ball dominant. 25 drives in the last game without Van Vliet. We've seen Trent Jr.'s ball handling pick up. His usage rate ticks up also without Van Vliet. OG also scores more. So those guys will certainly be in a pretty good spot. And then the kind of sneakier spot is Nurse has really liked to tie Kem Birch to Van Vliet. And we saw without Van Vliet, not only did Birch not start the second half, he didn't play at all. Got completely removed from the rotation. We saw Thaddeus Young pick up a lot of assignments on Embiid, pretty much behind Precious and some overlap. So I would expect those two guys to kind of be a key cog for center spots. And then Boucher, who's obviously taller than Thad is, he's more of that roaming power forward, kind of like the way Thad would be Horford, and Boucher would be like Time Lord for how their defensive system would kind of work.
Yeah.
So I'd expect those guys to all benefit. But yeah, I thought the Thad minutes were pretty good, so we should see a pretty good amount of him at the center spot.
Yeah, Thad played really well, obviously in Game 4 there. We'll see what that starting lineup looks like. Right now, we're projecting Scotty Barnes as the starter, so we have him kind of in the low 30s minutes, obviously, with Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam all coming through with major minutes projections for now. We'll adjust based on starters, but yeah, I mean, we can expect to see a large amount of Precious and Thad tonight.
Yeah, here's the second half minutes. I mean, just like monsters for kind of their key guys. And Thad, 16 and a half minutes. So, if that rotation is the same, I mean, 30 minutes, pretty crazy.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they do anything with a traditional point guard, because obviously after FEV went down in Game 4, they did not. We and most of the industry are projecting a little bit of time for Malachi Flynn tonight. Let's kind of see if we get any reporting on that. That may shift around a little bit. But, Nick Nurse goes with these funky lineups, these funky, mega huge lineups. So would not be surprising at all to see that again and kind of, even see Malachi Flynn or whoever, whatever way they decide to go in that spot, not really be involved. But hard to project that totally for right now.
Yeah, they were completely out. This is all
Yeah.
garbage time. So yeah, they went ridiculously tight here for this rotation. And we know Nurse, he is not afraid to play. We saw when it was like February or June. I don't even know. But you guys know what I'm talking about. When they were running like basically like a 6.5 man rotation, there's a pretty good chance we're going to see something like that today.
Exactly. Yeah. So other side of that game, obviously Joel Embiid's dealing with some torn ligaments in that thumb. Not on the injury report or list available or whatever it is. Do you feel like it affected him much in the last game? And is it something to be concerned about both in this game and as the playoffs go on here?
Well, the buzz around the team from Embiid and Doc Rivers was more about passing and rebounding.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting, right? Because I mean, if you're shooting a basketball, like your thumb flexibility is not that you don't even really need to use your thumb just to kind of hold the ball in place. You're usually using your two fingers to let the ball go last. So I think he's going to still be able to score, but you do have concerns of it aggravating, going to the locker room, et cetera, et cetera. So there's certainly some downside, and they're really throwing a lot of doubles at him. So the usage rate being a little bit down by Embiid standards, I think is more about defensive coverages. So I think they're going to kind of run that again. Nurse basically said they're going to do that again. So should be tough sledding, but we've seen Embiid dominate bad spots before. So I think he should be fine. But again, as I mentioned, there's always a little bit of risk of just aggravation.
Yeah, well, he'll be a really interesting player to talk through this afternoon on the DFS show because there's a lot of angles there. You just hit on a bunch of them. Also, we don't know what kind of just pain he's in. Obviously, Nick Nurse, just kind of putting all the defensive attention on him anyway. Maybe enhanced risk at turnovers moving forward too. So just there's things to consider there for Embiid. But for now, he's playing. They're going to try to close this out at home tonight. Nothing to really be concerned about there, other than maybe lack of ceiling or a lower ceiling in general.
Yeah. Should add just really quick, Matisse Thybulle is eligible to play in this
call.
game, so that's going to take a little bit of George Yang off the top. Danny Green won't have that high minute ceiling we saw a little bit earlier in the first matchup in Toronto. Little bit of minutes upside coming off Tobias. Paul Reed possibly not getting as many minutes, but we'll see. Not a huge impact. I mean, he's pretty much been iced here as they've really been leaning on Danny Green.
Yeah, Danny Green definitely the biggest impact there because he's been someone that just, especially for DFS purposes, has been kind of the plug and play cheap forward on all these Sixers slates, and I think that definitely takes a little bit of a hit tonight. Moving over to the late game, Utah-Dallas, that one's tied up 2-2. Luka came back last game, played 34 minutes, so no real concerns there. I mean, we read the tea leaves before the game, and obviously a tilting Jalen Brunson props lost. But we read the tea leaves. That kid was basically saying, if he's out there, he's going to play. Did play the 34 minutes. What do we expect out of Luka tonight? More minutes coming his way?
Yeah, so I think one thing you'll notice, pull up Popcorn Machine, you'll notice that they wanted to run him shorter stints, and they did in the first quarter and the third quarter because he plays full first a lot. But you'll notice the big difference was in the second and fourth quarters, right? Got a pretty big minutes gap, checks out at 7:49, comes back at 3:10. Here, checks out at 6:43, and then checks right back in at 5:34. So a minute off in a very close game. His usage rate was significantly higher in the second half, and which affected Brunson. So I would think that the rotation is going to be a little bit closer to the second half, Luka, which means, possibly 40 minutes. There's no concern about him coming back. But so the Brunson stuff, his first half usage rate was 36.1.
Wow.
And it was just 21.6 in the second half when Luka was starting to percolate. Shout out to Clyde the Glide. So I expect Brunson to be a little bit down. I mean, that first half was just insane, but Luka's going to play a lot, which has an effect on Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell and Luka, they talk about the quarterback receiver stuff with him, so slightly affects him. We'll add that. I mean, Powell ran really hot on top of Maxi Kleber getting in foul trouble. There was Davis Bertans foul trouble. I will add that kids said they wanted to go small and didn't, so that's something to watch. I don't know if he means Kleber being small. I kind of don't think it does. I think it meant Dorian Finney-Smith being center, which is something to watch. I think it's just something he has in his back pocket. But but Luka's going to be just playing a ton today.
Yeah, excited to see Luka, hopefully, with full throttle tonight. It definitely should mention, I think it impacted Dinwiddie the most of those guys. Obviously, his minutes took a big hit. He was in some foul trouble as well, but only played 24 minutes, did not shoot well either. He would be someone that I'm weary about touching tonight in DFS in props or whatever. So, Brunson's minutes will be there. The usage will take a hit as Luka kind of gets more acclimated, but Dinwiddie and kind of those secondary, tertiary Mavs, certainly their usage will be taking a hit now with Luka kind of back in full gear. Their Dallas is back home tonight trying to take control of that series for sure. So I would expect to see full blown Luka. Anything else in that Dallas-Utah game we're touching on before we kind of hit the big Boston-Brooklyn game tonight?
Not really. Interesting that they used a lot of Boyan
Yeah,
on Luka because Royce has been cooked by Luka, so I thought that was a good adjustment, which should happen again. So that takes, a little bit of upside off Boyan, in my
yeah,
opinion. You're asking a ton to cover Luka, the NBA's usage rate leader. So
yeah,
something to keep an eye on there.
for sure, for sure. And yeah, you did
And we'll
see it
talk
take.
more other stuff Utah that and we'll say that for the DFS show.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, you saw it take its toll on Boyan last game. He did have 5 personal fouls. Definitely wasn't shooting as much as he had in the first 3 games of the series. So, good point there. Worth keeping an eye on. All right, Boston, Brooklyn. We saw Robert Williams make his return in Game 3. I think he had a 25-minute hard cap. Didn't
There's
even
a
need to play
hard
very
24
much.
cap. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he
Yeah.
played 16-ish minutes or so in Game 3. We'd expect that to ramp up a little bit here, but they still should have a pretty hard cap on him. What do we expect out of Time Lord tonight?
Yeah, so I think the hard cap's gonna be 28, like absolute everything's perfect situation. But I don't think they want to play him much. I think they want to ramp him up. Don't forget, it took this team 2 years to feel confident in playing him consistent minutes, even when he had healthy stretches. And Brad Stevens had the quote back in the preseason saying like, "Okay, now he's got enough experience in the league. We could trust him a little bit more to play bigger minutes." So I think it's somewhere in the middle where they're, I think we put him at 22, 23. We may
Yeah.
take that to 24, 25 if he starts. But I don't think they want to, play with fire here, given his history. And again, just taking so long to feel confident in him playing. I feel like that's got to be in the back of their minds.
Yeah, I agree. We'll keep an eye on starters there. But yeah, for now we have him at 22 and a half. Still have Daniel Tice pretty involved, which is what we saw last time. Tice still had 17 minutes or so in the last game, or I guess I believe 17.
Yep.
And I think the rest of the industry is projecting a little bit more aggressive on Time Lord. I would be hesitant there, and they're kind of cutting Tice down. I think let's wait and see on the starters, but I think there's no reason to force it, especially with a 3-0 lead in that series. So anything on the Brooklyn side you're expecting to try to steal this game? We should note that from a rotational standpoint or change up standpoint, we should note Scott Foster is on this game as well.
Okay. Well, Ben Simmons is out. If you didn't
Yeah.
hear that, I'm sure everyone heard that. But not injury related, but Andre Drummond's minutes are just terrible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lineup change. It's like I said on 3 ball. It's like, how bad is it? It's Blake Griffin bad. That's where things were going, and it did not go well. So yeah, free Daddy Clacks. Maybe we see something funky. Maybe LaMarcus Aldridge gets dusted off here. They got to do something. The Celtics made a couple adjustments to their offense, and they were really hunting in the last game with more Jason Tatum just getting mismatches all the time and running out. So we'll talk more about that on the DFS show for sure.
Yeah. I wonder if they play Blake even more tonight.
I don't think so.
He played 8
really
minutes. He played 8 minutes and scored 8 points in 8 minutes. So I don't know, man. Even if it was just a little spark plug, I think he's cooked. But so we'll see what kind of adjustments they make there. I think Boston obviously is going to keep trying to do more of the same. Obviously, everything's been working for them there. Anything else worth touching on this slate from an injury or rotation type of?
No, nothing. We'll pay wallet. I got matchups is up. There's a lot of really good stats in there. Definitely check that out, and I'll talk more about it, how it affects the slate. I haven't looked at prices yet, so I'll get a look at that. And yeah, pretty good slate. I think we got a couple of teams making some adjustments. I think there's a lot of edge on the Raptors side here, and then obviously the Nets are going to probably do something. And I think there's some pretty good slate today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You mentioned matchups is up. If you're a subscriber for Establish the Run NBA DFS product, you can get that now on the website. Top Plays, I'm working on that right now. Should be up within an hour or so. Please join us behind the paywall at 5 o'clock. It'll be Mike and myself, as Drew is a little bit under the weather, but he's starting to feel better. So
feeling better today. Yeah,
he'll be back.
And Claff, we're a little short-handed.
We've been dealing with some health and safety protocols over the last couple of weeks with some of our team, myself included, 2 weeks ago. So anyway, best of luck to everyone tonight. Please do join us, subscribe. We do have the weekly options available for the DFS product, for the props product. We're crushing both sides of things every day. So
19K, we hit the 19K mark on a $100 bet. So that was big.
Yep.
March to 20K is going to happen. I want to do it this week. So I think we got it.
Yeah. And I want to give a quick shout out to Winky, one of our great subscribers. Was in a little bit of a car accident over the weekend. I think prayers up for Winky. He's a true ETR loyalist and a great friend. So thinking of him.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
hope we see all of you at 5 o'clock Eastern. If not, please do hit the like, subscribe button here on YouTube. Show us that love, and we will see everyone at 5 o'clock. Good luck with all your games.